The book which we are going to review is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book is one of the best sellers and it has won many awards. This book is written by Stephen R. Covey. The book opens with an explanation of how many individuals who have achieved a high degree of outward success still find themselves struggling with an inner need for developing personal effectiveness and growing healthy relationship with other people. The author believes that the way we see the world is entirely based on our perception. To change a situation, we must change our perception. In order to get deeper insight, he studied 200 years of literature. He wanted to find out that what does success mean to people. In earlier times, the foundation of success rested upon character ethic. Things like integrity, humility, fidelity, justice and patience. In 1920, the way people viewed success shifted toward personality ethic, where success is a function of personality, public image and attitude. Nowadays, people look for quick fixes. They see a successful person or organization and ask, "How do you do it? Teach me your techniques." But these shortcuts that we look for, to save time and still achieve the desired result, are simply short-term solutions. According to the author, the way we see the problem is the problem. We must allow ourselves to undergo paradigm shift to change ourselves fundamentally and not just alter our attitude and behavior. That's where the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People comes in. The first habit which the author mentioned, is that we all should be proactive, if we want to achieve real success in life. We're in charge. We choose the script by which to live our life. Use this self-awareness to be proactive and take responsibility. Reactive people believe the world is happening to them. They say things like, "There's nothing I can do. That's just the way I am." According to the author, reactive people think the problem is out there, but that thought is the problem. Proactive people, however, recognize they have responsibility, which author defines as the ability to choose how you will respond. The second habit, which highly effective people possess, according to the author, is that they begin with the end in mind. Author suggests use our imagination to develop a vision of what we want to become and use our conscience to decide what values will guide us. Habit 2 suggests that, in everything we do, we should begin with the end in mind. Start with a clear destination. Author emphasizes that our self-awareness empowers us to shape our own lives, instead of living our lives based on the standards of others. Before we as individuals or organizations can start setting and achieving goals, we must be able to identify our values. It is also important to identify our center. The center of our life will be the source of our security, guidance, wisdom and power. Our centers affect us fundamentally. They determine our daily decisions, actions, motivations, and interpretation of events. The third habit, according to the author, is to put first things first. In order to manage effectively, we must put first things first. Habit 3 is about actually going after your goals, and executing on our priorities on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. In order to maintain the discipline to stay on track toward our goals, we need the willpower to do something when we don't want to do it. We need to act according to our values and principles, rather than our desires, or impulses, at any given moment. According to the author, the challenge is not to manage time, the challenge is to manage ourselves. The author has designed a time management matrix. In the matrix, all activities can be categorized based on 2 factors, urgent and important. This is how the time management matrix looks like. Let's move forward and discuss each quadrant in detail. If we focus on quadrant 1 and spend our time managing crises and problems, it keeps getting bigger until it consumes us. This leads to stress, burnout, and constantly putting out fires. If we focus on quadrant 3, We spend most of our time reacting to matters that seem urgent. Reality is that they are expectations of others. This leads to short-term focus, feeling out of control, and shallow or broken relationships. If we focus on Quadrant 4, we are basically leading an irresponsible life. This often leads to getting fired from jobs and being highly dependent on others. Quadrant 2 is the heart of effective personal management. If we manage our time according to Quadrant 2, then we can achieve everything. It deals with things like building relationships, long-term planning, exercising, preparation. We should always maintain a primary focus on relationships and results, and a secondary focus on time. The fourth habit, which the author mentioned in the book, is to think win-win. In order to establish effective, interdependent relationships, we must commit to creating win-win situations that are mutually beneficial. The author explains that there are 6 paradigms of human interactions. The 6 paradigms are win-win, win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, win, and the last one is win-win or no deal. Now we will go in the depth. In win-win, both people win. Agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial and satisfying to both parties. In win-lose, if I win, you lose. Win-lose people are prone to use position, power, credentials, and personality to get their way. In lose-win, I lose, you win. Lose-win people are quick to please and appease, and seek strength from popularity or acceptance. In lose-lose, both people lose. Win-lose people are determined, stubborn, ego-invested individuals interact. In win, people with the win mentality don't necessarily want someone else to lose. What matters is that they get what they want. In win-win or no deal, if you can't reach an agreement that is mutually beneficial, there is no deal. The best option among all is to opt for win-win situation as it talks about mutual benefit. Another important factor in solving for win-win situations is maintaining an abundance mentality that there's plenty out there for everyone. The fifth habit, which the author mentioned, is to first understand, and then to be understood. Before we can offer advice, suggest solutions, we must seek to deeply understand them and their perspective through empathic listening. The author says that we have spent years to learn how to read, write and speak, but what about listening? Communication experts estimates that 10% of our communication is represented by our words, 30% is by our sounds, 60% is by our body language. When we listen to someone, we generally respond to people in 4 ways: evaluate, probe, advise and interpret. But if we replace these types of response with empathic listening, we see dramatic results in improved communication. The sixth habit of the highly effective people, according to the author, is to synergize. By understanding and valuing the differences in another person's perspective, we have the opportunity to create synergy, which allows us to uncover new possibilities through openness and creativity. It allows us as a group to collectively agree to ditch the old scripts and write new ones. For example, if you plant 2 plants close together, so that both plants will grow better than they would on their own. By putting forth a spirit of trust and safety, we will prompt others to become extremely open, which will result in creating synergy. The real essence of synergy is valuing the differences, the mental, emotional, and psychological differences between people. Synergy allows you to value the differences. Avoid negative energy. Exercise courage in interdependent situations. Catalyze creativity. The seventh and the last habit which the author identified is to sharpen the saw. To be effective, we must devote the time to renewing ourselves physically, spiritually, mentally, and socially. Continuous renewal allows us to synergistically increase our ability to practice each habit. Let's have a look at this matrix. There are 4 dimensions of our nature, and each must be exercised regularly, and in balanced ways. In physical dimension, the goal is to exercise our body in a way that will enhance our capacity to work, adapt, and enjoy. To renew ourselves physically, we must eat well, get sufficient rest and relaxation, exercise on a regular basis to build strength. In spiritual dimension, the goal of renewing ourself is to provide leadership to our life and reinforce your commitment to our value system. To renew yourself spiritually, you can practice daily meditation, communicate with nature, and immerse yourself in great literature or music. In mental dimension, the goal of renewing our mental health is to continue expanding our mind. To renew yourself, read good literature. Keep a journal of thoughts, experiences, and insights. Watch programs that enrich your life and mind. In social or emotional dimension, the goal of renewing ourselves socially is to develop meaningful relationships. To renew yourself emotionally, you can understand other people, work on projects that improve the lives, maintain an abundance mentality. As we focus on renewing ourselves along these four dimensions, we must inspire others by believing in them, by listening and encouraging them. Now let's have a quick recap of all the habits of highly effective people. Habit number 1 is to be proactive. Habit number 2 is to begin with the end in mind. Your end goal should be clear as what you want to achieve in your life considering values. Habit number 3 of highly effective people according to the author is that they put first things first. Habit number 4 which highly effective people possess is that they always think win-win. Habit number 5 which highly effective people possess is they first seek to understand other people and then they make themselves understood. Habit number 6 which highly effective people possess is that they synergize and create synergy in order to achieve greater success. According to the author, the last and the 7th habit is that highly effective people always sharpen their saw. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope this was useful for you. If you have any query or suggestion, then email on this address.